you are a great country. And in such a condition, your future as a great country is not outside the EU, is to be part of the club and to transform EU with the other great countries. I think we need a strong UK, and UK is much stronger if you decide to remain. And I think that's a critical issue. Why? Because that's our collective challenge. That's our collective challenge. It's true that if you leave, probably some people, especially those involved in finance and probably tech, will leave to join EU and work within the European Union because, I mean, definitely a Brexit will have direct consequences on these different sectors because it will impact the passport, the financial passport. It will impact the relationship with the rest of the EU. And today, UK is working very closely with the rest of the EU because you are completely enshrined in the European Union.
You've been quoted in the past saying that if Brexit happened, then there wouldn't be migrants in Calais any longer. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
From a political point of view, it's obvious it will be extremely tough vis-à-vis our people, especially in north of France, to explain, okay, this guy decided to leave, but we will keep everything like it was. No, you will have a big political pressure. So that's why our president, during the last summit, confirmed that for sure there will be consequences on these different issues in case of a Brexit.
And that means more migrants coming through the tunnel and going straight to Britain. But does that not mean northern France becomes more of a magnet for migrants and creates a bigger problem for France?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And for me, I'm not in this approach, I mean, to agitate fears and threatening people, because I think that's not a good motivation for a vote. My perspective vis-à-vis the Brexit and your decision to be taken is much more about your role in globalization today and your own perspective. I think UK is not about becoming Jersey or Guernsey. Today you are strong because you are part of the EU. Because when you discuss about your steel industry with China, you are credible because you are part of the EU. Not because you are just UK. You will be completely killed otherwise. You will never be in a situation to negotiate face-to-face with the Chinese because your domestic market is not relevant for the Chinese in comparison with their domestic market. But EU is the first global domestic market. That's the strength.
But surely the problem is this. A lot of people in Britain who want to leave say the EU is always going to be more and more and more integrated. It's a kind of integration machine till you get a common EU foreign policy, common EU army and so on. And even if Britain stays, Britain will be kind of banging on the outside of this integration machine.
Look, I think your people and your leaders are extremely useful and vocal when they speak about EU to simplify and to make it much more efficient. I follow you on that, which is something different for me than being against integration. Because when you look at the situation, when you look at single market, that's about integration, but it's good for you, it's the winning game. You are more skeptical in terms of monetary policy, in terms of economic policy. Fine. I think we managed to find a balance and to have this balance between in and out countries.
So what would be the consequences of the UK leaving the EU, of Brexit?
We have to be very clear that a Brexit will have consequences. Otherwise, indeed, that's the beginning of the dismantling. Everybody which disagrees on 1 or 2 points will decide to do the same. So you will have consequences. And for instance, if
like
some...
what? Sorry, tell me about the consequences.
On passport, for sure, on access to single market, because you will be no more part of the club. So you will have consequences. And perhaps we can renegotiate a treaty when we have, like we have with other countries, but with contribution to the European budget, which is one of the preconditions. And this contribution to the European budget is an access, not automatically, to a full-fledged single market. So that's the type of relationship we have with Norway or Switzerland. So you have to bear that in mind. For sure you will have consequences, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to have a European Union. And on the other side, I think the reaction we have to put in place for the rest of the member states is precisely to go further and to propose a series of integration measures, integration proposals, and a roadmap for more integration, precisely to have a proactive and positive perspective for Europe and especially for the Eurozone. We have to create movement, not to leave the floor for those just who want to leave the club. Because I do believe in the European idea. For my country, I do believe, as I do believe for UK, by the way, that the unique way to succeed in globalization is not to become Singapore or Hong Kong, is to become a big, strong domestic market with our common values, because that's our history, that's our future.
Let me ask you about one of the big issues between our two countries at the moment, which is the future of the Hinkley Point nuclear power station, because we had thought that that was more or less a done deal. But Ségolène Royal has suggested that because of the huge debt that will burden EDF with, that this is no longer something that's definitely going to happen, that it's not certain. What's your perspective now?
We are actively working with the company, and I had a series of discussions with my counterparts in your government, is on the technicalities of the deal to finalize precisely the final points of the agreement.
So
but the political commitments is completely confirmed. We back Hinkley Point projects. It's very important for France. It's very important for nuclear sector and EDF. Now we have to finalize the work, and especially the technical and industrial work, very closely with EDF, with the British government, to be in a situation to sign in the coming weeks or months.
So it's going to happen?
That's my view, and that's our perspective, because I think it's very important for our commitment to nuclear energy, and I think that's your choice, and that's our choice.
Now, you have a new movement, En Marche. Tell me about En Marche. What's it for? Where's it marching to?
Straightforward, and for the country. Look, En Marche is indeed a new movement whose perspective is to propose radical reforms, strong reforms and very ambitious reforms for the country, without being captured by the classical right and left approach. Why? Because when you look at the key challenges for France, it's all about labor market, all about balance and relationship between freedom and justice, freedom and security. That's all our debate. In 1 year, we have a presidential election. We have to build, in a new way, in a much more inclusive approach, a sort of, not just a political program, but a very precise roadmap with the people to propose to the country on the basis of these key principles, working with people coming from the right, people coming from the left, civil society, and to propose that to the country and try to deliver.
And when you speak like that, you remind me very much of a young Tony Blair. Does that horrify you? Or it pleases you?
Thanks for the compliment.
Okay,
I don't know if in your mouth that's a promise or a threat, but I prefer to take it as a promise.
It's merely a comment. And if you were persuaded that you were the person to stop Marine Le Pen becoming the next French president, would you stand?
I don't want to enter into such a discussion. Today I work as a Minister of Economy in this government. I work very hard because I want to deliver for my country. And I launched this movement because I think we have to go beyond and we have to deliver much more. Full stop. And the question of person will arrive at the end.
I accept all of that. But do you really think that President Hollande can win another term?
I think you are 1 year before the election. It's much too far. It's very tough in all our countries to govern today. I think that if he decides very bold decision, if he explains what he's doing, it definitely could be in a situation to win.
You rule nothing out yourself?
No, I think 1 year before it's absolutely impossible.
Minister, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Thanks
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you.